My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Acre, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack. People are driving parasites through me from a remote location. I can also hear their voices. They are very hostile and demeaning. They harass me constantly. They are threatening me and my family. They keep victim shaming me. They are trying to create a false narrative and manufacture or modify evidence to claim that they are to justify their criminal behavior towards me, and they are premeditating the deaths of me and my family. Today they have assaulted me underneath my brain and in the back of my brain. This is what I have experienced. This appears to be Scientology. They're driving worms. So, from what I have observed, there's more space in the universe than humans can see. There are 11 dimensions. These dimensions reside within the particle itself. So, inside of the particles in which we consist of lie 11 dimensions. There is another place. Call this the inverse. We have biology in these extra dimensions, 11 dimensional biology. We utilize this biology to have an afterlife. I'm being assaulted. So when we die, we live on in these extra dimensions. Stop doing that. They are driving parasites at the very moment. Parasites range in size from microscopic up to 2 inches in diameter. They are driving one of my nodes. So the universe consists of 11 dimensions that reside within the particle itself. You can consider our third dimension as a shell. It is just an outside uh, layer or an outside to something else. It is the outside of something. There is a place within the particles in which we can. So we have biology in this other place, 11 dimensional biology. We utilize this biology to have an afterlife. So when we die, we literally turn into ourselves. We call it raising or turning around. You grab all the particles in which you consist of, and you pull them deep inside of yourself to your core, to the inside, and you turn around. You face the opposite direction in which you faced while you were among the living. And then you leave yourself. You cleave yourself. You leave nothing behind but the shell. This is the afterlife experience. So Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before you die. They remove it from themselves and they utilize technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle. You're driving another worm. There's an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inner dimensions. If you remove a piece of biology from your inner dimensions, no matter how far you take it away from yourself, you're still in this biology. There's an entanglement property. So, from what it looks like from our perspective, is if you take a piece of biology and remove it from this, as it leaves you, space time in between you and the removed biology shrinks. So, you can't take energy from within a particle. Stop. I'm being assaulted. Scientologists utilize this entanglement property. It is part of their technology and techniques, part of a technique that they use. First off, they utilize this technology for a hive mind purposes. So they like to remove part of their biology, usually a brain stem or thalamus in their eyes, and they install it into a computer system. So they have these pods or boxes in which they store their biology, and then they install it into a storage system. It is usually a wall or an object full of holes that house these little pods. There, they interface themselves to a computer system using electrodes and sensors. Stop! Stop driving my parasites! Get away from me! You're breaking the law! So, in this computer system, they can interact with each other. They can communicate with each other and interact with each other in the digital landscape. This also acts as a command center so they can drive their upper dimensional biologies. And they also use devices on the subject's biology, their origin biology. So whatever is left on their third dimension, they like to interface devices to their brain and central nervous system. Yes, they torture me constantly. So they interface these devices with their brain and central nervous system. And this also acts as a phone service. So it allows them to communicate with each other and they can see and hear each other. And these are also sensory perception recording devices. So they can record your sensory perception input, sight, your hearing, your taste, your smell, your touch. They call these preservation devices. They're supposed to preserve your vision. These are big tech companies such as Microsoft and Google that are responsible for producing technology. This technology also artificially stimulates neural tissue, so they can isolate individual neural connections, thought patterns, and stimulate this area of our brain. So they can make you experience a memory. Stop driving my parasites. They can make you experience a memory, or they can make you experience a thought pattern, and they can make you see things and hear things. There's also a screen that interfaces with the visual cortex of our brain and our thalamus. Yes, I'm making these videos to alter their behavior. I have had severe brain damage today. Again. And then this technology artificially elevates neurochemicals. They run energy through their neurons, and this stimulates neurochemical production, which means it elevates neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. It has an extremely narcotic-like effect upon the user. Plus, I suspect that a lot of them are also abusing substances, especially the military and our government, and in the civilian side, all of them are. They are all abusing opioids and stimulants. Yeah, they call themselves God. They're just rich people conditioned to break laws. I'm very sick. I'm weak, dizzy. I have brain damage. I have to go see what they're barking So these Scientologists, they remove their extra dimensions from them. Some of it they may store into a storage system. They remove some or most of their extra dimensional biology to modify and turn into a vehicle in which they can drive around in the upper dimensions. I'm getting a death threat. Yes, I can hear their voices. They're extremely hostile and demeaning. They keep threatening me and harassing me over and over again. They constantly give me death threats. They assault me over and over again. They are threatening me and my family, and they are premeditating our deaths. They victim shame me. They claim they somehow say it's somehow my fault. And during this whole process, they're trying to come up with a narrative in which says this is somehow my fault. So in the end, they can somehow justify their behavior because there's probably going to be legal consequences to their act to this activity, to their behavior. Yes, they like to sabotage people and set people up, manufacture evidence. I've seen these people stage events. I've even seen them dress up local policemen as hippies and uh, crackheads and stuff and parade them around like they're trying to manufacture evidence or create some story. Yeah, so these Scientologists remove their extra dimensional biology and they modify it into a biology in which they can drive to the upper dimensions. So our extra dimensional biology presents itself in layers. What happens is our biology will grow out into the next three dimensions and it will create a biology. And then it crosses the boundary into the next three dimensions and it forms a layer on top of that biology. And it does the same thing with the next set of three dimensions. It forms another layer. So it winds up looking like those little Russian dolls, a biology inside of a biology inside of a biology. Scientologists like to remove these layers, and they wind up with three or four biologies that they can modify and turn into upper dimensional vehicles. But these biologies can't function properly in this state. See, when you die, you take everything you can with you. Every particle you can, you take it with you into the afterlife. Scientologists have to leave something behind. They are still among the living. You can't survive losing everything. So they leave something behind. And then they cut themselves to pieces. So these biologies wind up missing organs, or you have see, our organs present themselves in 11 dimensions too. So you wind up leaving an entire organ on your first biology, and the whole rest of them is missing that organ. And or either it's split or vice versa. It's a big complicated mess. So these Scientologists wind up having to utilize organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly again. They like to use or steal body parts from humans, or lizards or reptiles, insects, and worms. So they create several alien forms. There's the blue blood form, then what I call the greens. Then there's the gray form, which is a plain Jane form. And then they make lizard people. They make insectoids or bug people. And then they make worm people. And on top of this, they have a hard time, or they can no longer produce biochemical electricity. They can't, uh, their organs don't function properly anymore. They miss out on a lot of blood flow and nervous system activity. So they have to use a form of artificial stimulation. So they literally run electrodes into themselves, stimulate themselves with an artificial means of electricity. This replaces their normal biochemical electricity that you would produce under normal circumstances. Yes, they are here at this very moment. On top of that, they are in possession of my extra dimensional biology, which literally puts me at their location, no matter where they are in the world. I am extremely sick. I'm in pain, dizzy, I'm weak. I'm missing a lot of brain function. I'm having a hard time staying coherent. They use parasites and objects as torture devices and weapons, being harassed, death threats. So these Scientologists, a large percentage of them are very criminal. First off, they are conditioned to remove and mutilate biologies. Please stop driving parasites. Stop driving my worms. Get away from me. You're breaking the law. So they are conditioned to remove biologies and modify biologies for a living. This is their employment and their hobbies. Yes, they literally steal organs and tissues from other humans and other species. They do this for a living, and they do this at random. So that is hostile in nature to begin with, and they are conditioned to do this, to put their hands on other people, to lacerate, mutilate, and cut to pieces. Yes, aliens are remote controlled organisms. Someone on Earth is driving an alien through outer space at this very moment. There are bunches of people doing it. Get away from me and my family. Yes, they are all artificially stimulated. Stop driving parasites. If I've done something wrong, then it is between me and the authorities. We will handle this within the law. They're victim shaming me. They say I've done something wrong, which somehow justifies their criminal behavior towards me. Petty drug use is the only thing I'm guilty of, which they exacerbate. People that are in pain or hearing voices or dying, they drink more alcohol, they smoke more weed, and that's the only thing I'm guilty of. They did this to not only me, but my family, my coworkers, my neighbors, my community. It doesn't matter where I go, they're going to be right there. That's what happens when someone steals your biology. It puts you at their location. Space time shrinks because we are entangled to this missing biology. Space time shrinks in between us and our lost biology. As it goes away from us, space time in between us and the removed biology shrinks. You can't take energy from within a particle. The particle will be destroyed. So space time conforms to ensure this doesn't happen. Yes, you can grab it and run, but space time will warp and conform to the to the to this activity. So these people are criminal. They do things like invade privacy, invade our homes and businesses. They kidnap people. They traffic humans. Stop driving my parasites. I was kidnapped by these people. I used to be a political activist on social media, participated in politics a lot, and was very good at it. Actually got some things done in the government. And I'm also an author. I write a lot. I wrote a lot of literature. I inspired a lot of people to write their own stuff, gave people ideas. I enjoyed it. I guess I made a lot of people money. Stop driving my parasites. Yes, I've tried ivermectin. It doesn't work. They'll just give me more parasites when I'm threatening me again. So these people found me on social media and they forced me to assimilate. I started hearing voices and seeing things. At first, they just started to try to control me, tell me what to do, how to do my job, when I could take breaks. And I snapped at them. I did not like this. It was unnatural and it was against the law. So then they became extremely hostile, started harassing me and threatening me, threatening my life and my liberty. Then it became apparent that the public was invading my privacy. NPR, MPB, social media, everybody. They were seeing into my environment, reading my thoughts. They started stealing my intellectual property, the things I was working on and writing, and they harassed me constantly using their employment. So radio DJs, media companies, social media, the algorithms turned hostile. As time went on, they stole more and more intellectual property and they harassed me more and more. So I'm part Native American. I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency or Buffalo Dollars. I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. Yes, my Native American name is Crazy Bird or Zinkalawitko. Please stop. You're breaking the law. Get away from me. So this intellectual property theft turned into biological theft. So they got to observe me writing my literature and studying and doing philosophy. And they seen this of great value. They started to sell seats to my mind space to other Scientologists and let these people invade my mind space for personal gain and monetary gain and to steal ideas and intellectual property. So then this turned into biological theft. So they wanted to experience uh, my creativity and my ability to write literature for themselves. They wanted to utilize this ability for themselves. They're driving parasites again. Don't. It's a little bitty tiny speck. That's irrelevant. They just want to cause me pain and suffering. I've had a very painful day today. So yeah, this turned into biological death. So they literally removed brain tissue from my head and tried to utilize it for transplant purposes. Yes, Scientologists do this. So their biologies are left incomplete after their modification process. They have to utilize organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole again. So they can utilize other people's brain tissue for their own. They can even experience our flow states and our nervous system functioning. Some of these people are they are addicted to the way my central nervous system feels. They say it has a unique feel to it, and they are attracted to that. They see biology as commodities. Body parts are commodities to these people. Either they use them for transplants or for surrogate purposes, or they can sell them to other Scientologists, or they can utilize it for their services, their stimulation services. They can make you see and hear things and utilize it for their control centers or utilize it to control people. Scientology is based around body parts. It is a medical field of study, extra dimensional biology. Then this has turned into a snuff film. They are literally torturing me constantly, every day, making a snuff film. It's like these people want something bad to happen. I've watched these people hurt so many people doing this. So this is a hive mind. There are a lot of people involved, the entire Scientology community, and then other people looking on. They see torture and rape and murder, and they want justice, or they want it to stop. And when somebody seeks justice against these people will murder one of their trafficked people, one of their human victims. It's part of their whole snuff film they're making. God showing us his alien presence, thinking it somehow makes them above the law. Everyone has an alien inside of them. You can chop anybody up and make them look like an alien. That's a cut to pieces human being. I don't care what it is. You have no special rights in America. Nobody does. No human or thing has special rights. You have to abide by the Constitution of the United States while while functioning in this country. We have separation of church and state. You can't claim God on anybody. You can't act as God to anybody. That will be forcing your religion upon another human, which is against the law. Yes, it's been a very painful day. I've suffered brain damage today and yesterday and the following days. And they hurt my heart really bad yesterday too. They say they're modifying my preservation footage. So I've achieved a lot of goals in my life. I'm a tool maker, machinist. I'm very proficient in machining. I've had a lot of hobbies. I've done a lot of good. It's either they're going to erase everything good that I've ever done, or anything that makes me look like a good person. They're going to try to exacerbate or modify the footage to make it look like I'm a bad person, which is none. If it is, it's modified. That's how they think, as if it matters. It matters to these crackheaded people. They're trying to justify this behavior within their own community. They're a bunch of brain damaged individuals that have a bad disposition. They literally have acted their entire lives as if they are above the law. And their agenda is literally crimes against humanity. Get away from my biology. Put my biology somewhere safe and leave it alone. So, because we are entangled to our extra dimensions, even if it is removed from us, they are using mine as a torture device. They make a lot of people suffer this way. Sabotage is sickness, pain. He said, "Ooh, there it goes." He said, "It's not mine, it's his." So they're playing this little game. Some of the times that they try to hurt me, they're hurting other people or hurting themselves. Yes, I'm in pain, bad pain. Then they have drove worms into my back, putting pressure in some of my nerves and muscles. Torture device in this very moment. Yes, I played music a lot. I've had a lot of hobbies. I'm a tool and die maker. I've worked for everybody. I've done a lot of work in the coal mining business. I've made Irish whistles, same whistles that you hear on the movies Titanic and other movies. I worked for a company that made those. Uh, I worked for less lethal munitions companies, agriculture business, automotive. I made a lot of parts in automotive, uh, the furniture industry. So I've done a lot of tool and die for the furniture industry. Yes, I've made parts for the military. Plus, I wrote a lot of literature. So my intellectual property is literally an attempt to save the planet. So there's a Native American superhero. He's a biologist and a genetic engineer. He wants to help life come back to this planet exponentially, even if that means new species. Also created the Environmental Creation Agency. I'm getting harassed. I can't stand it. He actually did something good. No, he's a bad person. Oh, no. That's the way they think. So the Environmental Creation Agency is a government agency that replaces the Federal Reserve with a science council that approves a new or creates money from a new uh, form of currency. It's backed by environmental or environmental issues and quality of life. I've gone into detail on my other videos. Stop driving my parasites. I'm in pain. Yes, every day of my life, I went to work, come home, feed my family, piddle around the house, play video games, or play music, or do my hobbies, and go to sleep and wake up and do it all again the next day. That is all I've ever done. Yes, they've been right here with me the entire time. Well, I had a few good years in my life. They got me in the early 20s. That's when uh, that's when I started my social media account. This all started from social media. So social media and the marketing companies are stealing people's biology en masse. They're taking brain tissue from us in an attempt to invade our privacy and read our thoughts. so they can use this information to program their algorithms, show us ads and commercials to try to get us to buy things, to try to increase consumerism. That's when this whole thing started with me. Removing our biology causes sickness and dysfunction. Yes, even our extra dimensions. It makes us sick and weak, it causes dysfunction and psychological issues. I'm in pain. They're driving my parasites right now. They're assaulting me. being harassed and assaulted